After the introduction of Goro Majima in the last video, I gotta say, I absolutely love this game so far. Each moment playing has been exciting, and I love how over the top the game has been at times too. We're taking a break from Goro though, and coming back to Kiryu. The last time we saw him, he had just agreed to work with Tachibana to help get a hold of the empty lot, and clear his name from the investigation surrounding it. Chapter 5 starts out at the local batting cages in Kamurocho, where we see our boys, Kiryu and Nishiki, chilling and taking some swings. Kiryu informs Nishiki that he's officially a Tachibana real estate employee now, and that he's made a deal to help Tachibana out in exchange for help clearing his name from the murder investigation with the empty lot. Kiryu's name has already come up with the cops, so he only has a few days left before he's a wanted man. He mentions that Oda wanted him to get some proper business attire, so he ends up asking Nishiki for advice. They go to a store and end up picking out some new drip for Kiryu. My boy be looking immaculate. After, they part ways, as Kiryu now has to go meet up with Oda, with Nishiki warning him that Kuze's out for blood with what Kiryu did to him. On our way, we deal with the usual thugs in the street, and finally get to Oda. Nothing too much happens here honestly, so I'll just give a quick rundown in the situation. Before the client shows up, Oda gives him a quick rundown on business etiquette when at a restaurant, even giving him some glasses to make him look more civilized, as well as explaining what the client wants. Apparently, the client has acquired a building and wants to clean it up and flip it quickly, so he can make a profit off of it. Unfortunately, there's a squatter there who won't leave, which is slowing the process down. They're supposed to deal with the squatter in exchange for some money. He also mentions that the squatter is backed by a Yakuza family, to which Oda assures the client that Kiryu is well versed in dealing with the Yakuza, and that they'll handle it. Upon leaving the cafe, Oda sends Kiryu to go fetch a confectionery box to get on the squatter's good side, and hopefully get him to leave. We quickly grab the item and meet up with Oda at the building. We sweet talk the squatter for a bit, but then just barge in. We end up just cutting out all the formalities and straightforwardly ask him to just call the Yakuza who are backing him to the building, so we can negotiate with them directly. We leave and wait outside the building, which doesn't take long. The Yakuzas show up, making an absurd request for 7 million yen for the squatter to leave. Naturally, after an offer like that, negotiations fall through, and we end up fighting them. After winning, we find out that they're actually a part of the Tojo clan, specifically the Taihei Association, which is this guy's group, Hiroki Awano. They swear to get revenge and leave. Not too long after, the squatter from before pops up and sees that the Yakuza who hired him had all been taken out, so he ends up hightailing it out of there. Oda then sends Kiryu to go head over to Mokpo and report what happened to Yamanoi, the client, and to later meet up with him at a place called Serena. On the way to Mokpo, we end up bumping into a guy who calls himself the Leisure King, talking about how Yamanoi is too stubborn for his own good. It's heavily implied that they actually ended up beating Yamanoi up, so we go and run to check up on him. We find him on the ground, seemingly injured. He asks us if we handled the squatter, but Kiryu's more worried about his well-being. The game cuts to Kiryu and Yamanoi inside the apartment building from before, and Yamanoi explains that he was beat up by the Leisure King because he's been stealing property from his supposed territory. Apparently, the Leisure King is part of a group of 5 people trying to take over all the real estate in Kamurocho. Yamanoi suggests that Kiryu helps him out with his real estate business to overthrow the group, which is a whole different side activity in this game that I'll save for another video because it takes up way too much time. Upon leaving the building, I set out to meet up with Oda at Serena, after I tried out some Pocket Circuit Fighter, which is another massive time sink to be saved for another video. I'm not even joking, I spent like a whole 2 hours on this activity alone, so I'll just skip over it real quick. We finally make it to Serena, and the game shows us that Nishiki is actually hanging out there too. So when Kiryu enters, he decides to hang out with him in the meantime while waiting for Oda. Nishiki apparently chills at this place often, so he gets them a few drinks. Oda's running quite late, so they decide to pass the time with, you guessed it, karaoke. Our boy Kiryu makes sure to be the biggest hype man for Nishiki during his performance, eventually even joining in. We get a decent score of 92, and after the performance, we're interrupted by Oda's entrance. He walks in, battered and bruised, collapsing as a bunch of Yakuza walk over him. Awano steps in last, and it's obvious who beat him up. Awano reveals that he's here on account of his lackeys who went to him for help after getting chased out from the squatter situation. Nishiki asks Kiryu what he did this time, and Awano shuts him up by slamming his face against the bar. Awano's boys lead Kiryu out back outside to try and teach him a lesson. They egg him on, telling him to try something, confident since Awano is nearby, but Kiryu isn't having any of it. Kiryu throws the first punch, and we proceed to just demolish them in a fight. After, Awano ends up coming down impressed with his ability to fight, and tells Kiryu to give him his best shot. Kiryu obliges, and his punches,
Oh no!
For once, our boy isn't strong enough yet to take on this boss. Awano doesn't take the fight further, instead asking Kiryu why he's working with TRE, and bringing up that he knows that Kazuma put Kiryu up to the whole thing. Kiryu pretty much brushes everything he says off, not caring at all, and Awano asks Kiryu if Tachibana has found the lot's owner yet, and just from looking at Kiryu's blank expression, he's able to deduce that he's at least got a clue. Kiryu's had enough and tries to walk away, but not before Awano orders him to set up a meeting with Tachibana for him. Kiryu refuses, saying that he doesn't take orders from him anymore. Awano threatens to kill him, even mentioning that he'd go after Nishiki, which does seem to get to Kiryu at least a little. He gives Kiryu till the morning to decide to turn Tachibana over, or else he'll send the whole Dojima clan after him. The game fades to black after Awano leaves, abruptly ending chapter 5. This chapter was rather short, but I ended up spending more time on it because of the pocket circuit and the business management activity. Things are being thrown into chaos even more, and I'm excited to see how Kiryu deals with angering the entire Dojima clan. Hopefully Awano didn't beat up Nishiki even more and that Oda can recover from his injuries. I hope you enjoyed the video and have yourself a good one.